I guess I'm live. Hi there. This is Tamara Carroll, and I am with you tonight. My show is called Life with Lipedema, Loved, Valued, and Treasured. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining tonight. I'm super excited to share with you about our guest that's joining us. But first, I wanted to share something that I picked up off of Facebook today, and I think that it might resonate with you. And so, as I read this, it really touched me. They're talking about women as we age and that sort of thing. But I started feeling like I have felt this way my whole life. So it says, women age with the eyes of the world upon them, lest they be considered to have themselves let themselves go or lost a battle in the war. Women age with the rules and the restrictions of dressing correctly for their age, or for us, for our size, employing new makeup techniques to hide the drooping eyelids. They steer away from the wrinkles. Women age with the burden of beauty and the expectations of society, wearing them down, creating even more pressure than before, making it look harder to look well. Men don't age better than women. They age without guilt. It's worth a million new lotions, potions, or pills, and promising youth. Let's try and see if freedom looks good on us as well. So today, I'm super excited to introduce you to Beth Rylaarsdam. I'm going to say your name right correctly. If you want to correct me, thank you so much.
You got it. You got it.
And so this is Curvy Girl Beth, and I feel like I'm interviewing one of my heroines or something, because I have been following you way before I knew that my condition had a name. And
That's fantastic.
yeah, and I just love your attitude and being courageous and boldness. And so I'm super excited to introduce you to our friends today. And let me just tell you a little bit about Beth. I'm going to read you her bio. Beth is a multifaceted advocate for body positivity, celebrated as a style mentor, health and wellness influencer, plus size model, and a motivational speaker. She passionately represents curvy women and promotes self-acceptance. That's my heart, totally. At Curvy Girl Beth, she's all across social media, and while raising awareness about lipedema and providing expert fashion and style guidance. I'm excited to hear about that. With over 20 years of weight loss management success and a commitment to transforming lives through fashion and lifestyle, Beth inspires and supports women on their journey to embracing themselves and achieving a uniquely confident style. I'm just so excited to have you here. You have no idea. And I know that our audience is just going to be so pleased to learn more about you. So looking back in your life, when did you start noticing that your curves maybe didn't look like the other girl?
Thank you, Tamara, for having me. First of all, let's start with that. Thanks for having me on your new show. I really excited to be here, and I know our discussions kind of really hit the mark of that we are definitely like-minded and have similar goals, and as far as just really bringing home the idea that we're all unique individuals and we need to celebrate that. Everybody needs to, in my opinion, everybody needs to stop trying to be someone else, because there's no one like you, and you need to really embrace, your uniqueness as your superpower, because that no one else has, right? So that's definitely, acceptance is key, is what I have preached for the past 5 years that I've been here on social media. And just as a little behind the scenes, I knew nothing about social media before I came to Instagram 5 years ago. I mean, like seriously, like nothing. I mean, maybe I had looked at it for like about 6 months. And I was taken with the idea that people were like likely I was going to find somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody that I knew. I thought that the web of that was like going to become apparent. That was about it. That was all that I knew. And I also was excited to actually find that there were other people who looked like me online. And that's how my feed is curated. So I don't know if you all curate your feed, but I was just reading about some gal the other day who was so happy to find a mid-size gal that she felt comfortable around, because she said that she was stuck in like runway French runway model social media, and she could never see anybody that looks like her. And I was like, oh dear goodness, you have to create that for yourself. Like they're only feeding you what you look at, so you have to look at the right things. So but in any case, yeah, so I'm not I think maybe you did ask me a question. I've already.
So I was just wondering, when did you start noticing that your curves didn't look like the other girls?
Okay, so I am not I'm unique. I am not someone who ever thought there was something wrong with me. I never thought that I was different than anybody else. I never acted like I was different than anybody else. And I went along with the crowd for every, there was not places that I wouldn't go or things I wouldn't do or any of that, regardless of what my weight was. And I've been every weight that there is. This was me when I was in high school. And I was in high school at, I don't know if you can see this or not, but
yeah, that's great.
I was in high school. I was on the kick line, like the Rockettes.
Oh, fun.
And I was like a dancer my whole life, like ballet, tap, and jazz from 1st grade through 12th grade. So I did all those kinds of things. Never thought that I was an athlete. Went roller skating every Friday and Saturday night of high school. So I was like, aerobics queen before we had aerobics, right? And then my highest weight was 404 pounds. So I've been a range, but here in high school, I was like 140 pounds throughout high school. We used to say we thought you were fat then, because in contrast, my bestie, she was 103 pounds and she had, her legs were, see, here she is. Can you see that? See her leg?
We probably grew up about the same time, I'm thinking.
Her leg, it was the same, probably the size of my arm. And I just thought that if I weighed 103 pounds, I would look like that. And nobody ever told me that wasn't so. And it took until 2017 to be diagnosed with lipedema to realize, that never would have been so. And that's why it's never been so. But I always thought that my legs were the way they were because I was overweight. And that was the reason. It wasn't a question of, why was I overweight? I come from an Italian heritage on my mother's side, and my mother was shaped in the same fashion. Although her 4 sisters were not, which is interesting. So I always attributed to our Italian heritage that this is why I'm shaped the way that I am. Never realizing that my other aunts weren't shaped like that. I do think in retrospect, they probably all had the different phenotype of the columnar legs, whereas we have the heart-shaped, phenotype. So
I love that, calling it the heart shape. That's good.
Well, I mean, it is because that's exactly it, which is why I love hearts. And so I'm like, no wonder, because it's been part of my whole life, right?
There you go. Thank you for sharing about that. So I'm intrigued with becoming a plus size model. And I know that
Mhm.
you've got some pictures on your Instagram. Maybe we can scroll through some of those, but tell me a little bit about how you became a plus size model. I think that's pretty intriguing for us.
It is kind of an interesting scenario because when I was in college, um, actually, let me put this on. When I was in college, I was approached. I grew up in New York, and when I was in college, I went to college in upstate New York. And when I was in college, I gained some weight where I uh, needed to be in a plus size store. And they were very few and far between. So whenever I had the chance, I would head into Manhattan to go to any of the plus size stores that we had then. And there weren't really, I mean, whatever, there were some, but there weren't really plus size models like we have today.
Mhm.
And almost every time that we went into one of the stores, I would get either, you know, whatever, somebody from either Ford modeling agency or the store management or something where somebody would give me a card and be like, oh, reach out to us, da da da. And so my mother was a hairstylist in her day, and she was a very high fashion woman. Um, save for the
Sounds
fact
like
that
your
she
mom really
had
inspired you too.
lipedema, yeah.
Yeah.
And she would be like, that's ridiculous. Like, you can't be a model because you're in college. And in those days, that you were one or the other, like people didn't do multiple things, right? Like now college students are a lot of things, right?
Right.
And so that was her thing, was like, no, you're not going to call these people because you're in college. Like, how are you going to
What
come
to
from
do?
college to Manhattan? Like, you're not,
Right.
you know. And so it was a very, things were only practical in those days, right? And
Hmm.
so that was kind of what happened. And then after I graduated, I would model locally. So I moved to California, I moved to San Diego, and I would model locally for different plus size stores in San Diego and plus size publications. And so that was that. And then I moved to LA and gained way more weight. um, and, got to 404 pounds, got married, um, had, a different life. And that was just not anything part of it. And then um, at some point I did have, 20, almost 21 years ago, I had gastric bypass surgery and managed to let go of 230 pounds over a 2-year period. And that took a lot of protein and a lot of time in the gym with weightlifting. That was my magic formula. And I maintained that at least 90% of that loss up until I got diagnosed with lipedema. And then since I got diagnosed with lipedema, was kind of a whole situation. So right now I'm on a downward slope, so that's thankful. But when I don't know, somewhere around 2016, I went on an 2016, I went on an awakening journey. And during that time, I was like, what is it that I love? What do I do? And I went to college for marketing, advertising, and fashion. And but my career had been human resources. And then when I had my son, I was a stay-at-home mom and
Nice.
volunteer extraordinaire, that kind of thing. And so it just was getting back to being time for me. And I don't know, somebody reached out to me. I got on social media, on Facebook in 2016, and realized, oh, right, now there are plus size models out there. And
Hmm.
so somehow got reconnected with that world. And yeah. And so as things were really kind of heating up and taking off, was when we had the pandemic. And so when I first started, my Instagram is where I started on social media, for my Curvy Girl Beth, that was going to be specifically focused on just creating lipedema awareness, and that you can have this disease and still look good, right? That style, it you can be beautiful at any size, and you can be beautiful
and be able to rock those outfits
in any style. I was finding a pair of pants this morning that I just kind of chuckled about, because before I knew that I had lipedema, there was no way that I would show my legs at all. I've shown my legs much more in the past 5 years than probably they had ever been seen in the previous history of my life. But it's always to make a point, because we don't see women with lipedema, right? We don't see them because they're covered up.
Right.
And so I'm uncovered specifically so people can see that this exists and this is what it looks like. And so even with small ankles, like I measured my son's ankles and my ankles last night, and we're the same size ankles.
I'm a different type, so I don't have it in my calves, but it's in my thighs and my bottom area. So when I take a picture, it's hard for people to say, like, does she have lipedema? But I do, because I have stage 2, so it doesn't show up in my calves.
Right. But you probably stand behind something. Are you one of those? I mean, I just laugh at every picture I've ever taken until 2019.
So I always get put in the back of pictures anyway.
Okay, see, so you were always obscured. I mean, I was always obscured in every, if it wasn't my son in front of me, it was like turned sideways behind somebody in front. I was never taking a picture straight on. So really, this social media journey has been a labor of love and discovery and acceptance for myself as well. But in any case, those pair of pants I found this morning, because I would wear crop pants under my dresses so that nobody would see from my mid calf up, because I didn't want anybody to have to see that. And so, and I was just like, wow. And I remember having a friend who was like, why do you always wear like tights? And I was like, oh, just cause, I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to move on a little bit deeper into a little bit of a different subject. So my tagline is loved, valued, and treasured. If you chose one of those words, which one resonates the most with you and why?
I mean, they all resonate. I'm a Libra, so I like lots of choices.
So for the time,
I mean, when you said it, I thought loved first. And probably because in my life, I've had the privilege, I would say, of always being loved, like regardless of, my size, my status, my, station in life. So that is not something that I have struggled with.
And it sounds like, from what you shared already, that you've always loved your body. You didn't ever have those really bad negative feelings. Did you ever have a period of your life where you felt like it was hard to love your body?
I mean, I do love the shape of my body. I haven't liked the varying sizes of it. I personally am not somebody who loves, from my knee to my, groin. That is not my, if it was tight and smooth, great, but it's not. And I don't think even when I was, 16 years old, I thought that it was then. So, that's always been my biggest pain point, my thighs. So
one of the things that I like to say is loving our bodies with all of our curves and bumps and bobbles, because my body's like that. I have all the bumps and the bobbles. I don't like to call them bulges. I prefer to call them bobbles because it feels blingy and pretty.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, we have these conversations a lot around our community, but also with other women and young
Mhm.
women,
Mhm.
young women who are growing up that can't figure out why the other girls have the boyfriends or why they feel like they don't fit in with, having the curves, the beautiful
Right.
curves that they
Right.
have. So, with that word in mind, can you, with word loved, can you speak to maybe some of the younger women in our community and outside of our community about how they can move forward in truly loving their bodies with all their curves and bumps and bobbles?
So I like to, people say, perfectly imperfect, and I am not someone that likes that saying, because I think that we are all perfectly ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it goes back to that uniqueness thing, and we really have to love our uniqueness. And I think that people that have bought into the idea that, well, I'm not, like, I'm not going to find a boyfriend or a husband or a, partner or whatever because of X, Y, and Z about my body. That I could go out and find you 25 men that would tell you completely differently. So that is an inside job in your own head,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to get out of that. Typically the number one search by men on Google, I'm going to say 2018. I'm never sure if it's 2018 or 2017, but let's go with 2018, was plus size women.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I have learned from men over the years now is that one of the things that they struggle with, which is the same thing as we struggle with, is that society hasn't taught them that it's okay. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's why sometimes they steer clear of that. However, 70% of women in the United States are a size 14 or above. So with those numbers, we are more than the majority. We're
Right.
more than the majority. And if you consider that 50% of the population is married, then those are pretty high odds. If
Mm-hmm.
that's your goal, you're going to find someone, right?
Right.
Whether that, what that looks like is a whole separate story, but, and so you can't, it's still not portrayed in the media, right? It's not portrayed in the media.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we, it kind of inches in, but we still don't see it like, you know, we should. And
Right.
so we don't see the representation. And so we think that that's not how it is, when in fact, it's completely different, you
Yeah.
know? And so I think for girls, they have to really, um, they have to check. Well, I think for all of us, we have
Mm-hmm.
to check ourselves, and we have to say, who told us that?
Right.
Is it true?
Mm-hmm.
Who, first of all, is it true? Who told us that? Who told them that?
Mm-hmm.
And is that something that I choose to believe also?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think most often people will get to finally a no, like, yeah, no, that's not right. That's not true. That's not,
Mm-hmm.
and so you have to, and also you have to remember that you're the only person who's going to be with you your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also the only person whose voice is with you all day, every day. And so you have to really look at showing yourself some kindness and being gentle with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And even questioning yourself and being like, what? Like,
Yep.
why am I coming
Yep.
up with that?
Right.
And
Right.
then when you kind of get to it and you go, oh, because I saw this, that, or the other thing, and then you go, oh, okay, I'm all right.
Mm-hmm.
And then recognize, and then not to get religious. So you switch it out for whatever word you want to switch it out for. But that whole old phrase that God doesn't make junk. I
Exactly.
mean, let's just, you know,
That's
I
true.
mean,
We're
every,
beautifully, wonderfully created.
you know,
Absolutely.
right. And then if you, And then if you do have curves, you have to remember that in today's day, people are buying curves. I even saw it last night. A brand had reached out to me to model their shapewear, and it had the inserts in the butt that were removable. And I was like, well, they surely don't want me to wear that, like, not what they're looking for. So I would surely be removing those, but it was like, see, look at that.
Yeah.
And I recently learned that they have those for men too, which I just never knew.
Wow.
And I was like, we're, everybody's, again, trying to chase the dream that is portrayed to us that's not even real.
Right.
And then
I was just going to share that I think I may have shared with you when we spoke on the phone, but not long ago, I went out to the park with my husband for his birthday, and I took a full length, had somebody take a picture of us. And my first instinct in my mind was, my first thought was, wow, I've gained so much weight because I feel like I'm at my heaviest. And then I had to shift my mind quickly and say, no, actually, I look really beautiful next to him. And then I thought to myself, why did I even connect to that being heavy wasn't beautiful? Because that's a lie. That's a total lie. Total lie.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of that, shifting our mind and, receiving the truth, really. I want to ask you before we finish up this evening, I want to ask you, you had mentioned something about consultation, that's something that you do. Can you speak on that for just a minute?
Yeah, I do style mentoring. When I was in college in that, marketing, advertising, and fashion, I was an image consultant. I was certified as an image consultant when I was in college. And, over the years, did that as a side hustle, side gig, had lots of professionals who, wanted to up their, promotion quotient, so to speak. So yeah, always loved working in that array, and worked with for women makeup and fashion styling, fashion.
So is it a service that you offer now?
Yeah, so it's a service that I now,
or how does that look?
So now I offer style consultations and mentoring. We can do a variety of things. We can do shop your closet and see what you've got in there and what you could consider and how you could possibly, wear it differently. Maybe we can do a whole overhaul. I like affordable fashion. And I realized the reason why I like affordable fashion. Well, my mother taught me that you should always buy fashion on sale. You should shop at the highest place when it's a sale.
Yeah.
So I grew up with that idea. But then when I went to college, there was not a plus size store close by. And there was like Marshall's or that type of a discount store, and they had a plus size section. And so I really kind of leaned into that because I could always go anywhere in the country. I could find a discount store like Marshall's and I could find something to wear. And so I've also been lots of sizes. And so at any given moment, it's not like I was going to be buying an investment piece that I was going to keep for, 20 years and it was going to be, come around 2 cycles and that kind of thing. And so, it's also from that perspective. And I've also personally been somebody who likes to wear a different thing to a different event. So,
it's kind of a brand though,
Yeah, I mean, now it's like,
your clothes really inspire women to feel pretty and to live in that freedom, I think.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. And that I really like to work with somebody on like what is comfortable for them. So I do like to help people get out of their comfort zone. Like I've been doing that since, oh my gosh, even in high school, I would make my friends try on things that they'd be like, no. And then they put it on, they'd be like, oh my God, that's so good. You know, that looks good. Or that's, so yeah, that's, but also something that works with your lifestyle, something that is going to be beneficial to you. And then we can do that virtually or in person. And it just depends, you know, where you're at. I'm personally like based in Los Angeles. So anybody in Southern California, it's easy to get together with. But you know, other than that, there are definitely different ways that we can work together, and I can, you know, help you get into your most confident self, because sometimes what we need, a little shakeup, right?
Yeah, and getting out of our comfort zone. I have a couple of girlfriends that I shop with, and I've said, push me, get me out of my comfort zone. So, and part of that again is to you, and I just want to thank you, you know, for showing up and showing off, you know, your beautiful curves, and we just really appreciate that. Before we close tonight, I want to make sure that I mention two things. The conference is coming up for Lipedema Simplified, and Beth and I and Patty are going to be on a panel together sharing about self-care. So you have that to look forward to for the three of us together.
That's what, 10 days? 10 days away?
Yeah, it's coming up on the 27th, 28th, and 29th. Don't miss out, ladies. I'm telling you what, when I did my first conference and joined this community, I was so blessed. I learned so much. I didn't even know if I had lipedema or not at that time. And I just came in and soaked it all up, and being in community with other women who have the same emotions, and they're all learning. We have experts that are coming together from all over the world, doctors and CLTs and pain management experts. I just really encourage you, do not miss out. It's only $147, and it's for 3 days. I mean, this is like well over a $500, $600, $700 conference, and it's online. So you can show up in your pajamas if you want, or, you know, you don't even have to be on camera. It's always fun to be on camera though, and put our faces to our names, and then they have like quiet rooms where if you on a bit of overload, you can go to a quiet room and still be engaging with people. So don't miss it. It's just such a fabulous event. And so it's called the Heart to Heart Conference, and it's September 27th, 28th, and 29th. And the link is in the comments. So be sure and register for that.
It's another opportunity to come out of hiding. Only this time you'll be with people who
can trust.
Don't even notice that you're hiding, because you've been hiding too.
That's very true. So, gosh, Beth, our time just went so fast. I feel like I had so many more questions for you, but we only have 30 minutes. So I just want to thank you so much for joining us. And remember that, Beth, you are loved, and you are valued, and you are treasured. And to our community tonight that were sitting in with us, I want you to know that we truly believe that you are loved, and you are valued, and you are treasured. We'll see you next week. I have Dr. Catherine Sayo, who's going to be my guest special next week. So thank you.
Thank you. See you all again, and look forward to seeing you at the Heart to Heart. And hi, Patty.